Welcome to Inside Athletic Training, a podcast from the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainer Society and the ultimate destination for athletic training professionals, students, and educators looking to learn more about sports medicine and athletic training. In each episode, we'll dive headfirst into conversations with experts in the field, bringing you insights, stories, and cutting-edge information about athletic training and sports medicine. This week on Inside Athletic Training, we welcome in Mike Powell, the minor league medical coordinator for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Enjoy the show. All right, Mike, welcome to Inside Athletic Training. Super excited to have you on for episode 47. You're currently entering your first year as the minor league medical coordinator with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before we get into all the details about your current role with the D-backs and the season ahead and spring training and all that good stuff, I'd love to share with the listeners a bit about you. So talk to us about where you're from, what sports you might have been into growing up, and also how you found your passion and liking for athletic training.
Definitely. Thanks, Sam, for having me on. Honored to be here. And yeah, I'm first year going into the medical coordinator spot with the Diamondbacks. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born and raised. So I've the Yinzer blood kind of rolling through me. Played baseball, and I played hockey mostly growing up, ice hockey. Played baseball until about my junior year in high school, but mostly a hockey player, and played into a little bit of college too. So that took up a lot of my time growing up.
And when you look into to how you got started in athletic training, was there a certain moment, in high school or college or something where you found kind of the liking for what would be your profession?
Yeah, it's funny. My passion for athletic training is a bit different than most. I had no idea what I wanted to do coming out of high school. I took an anatomy class in my senior year in high school, and that kind of initially sparked my interest in the medical field. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I actually went to Duquesne University for undergrad, and I actually went there as a history major. And my roommate at the time, who was a high school friend and someone that I played hockey with growing up, was an athletic trainer, or he was in the program. And like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do. And he said, I'm doing this athletic training thing. It kind of combines the medical field and sports together. You should look into it. And didn't take long for me to do that, and kind of applied into a program and got in at Duquesne. So I kind of got lucky finding it and having someone around me who was a part of it in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. A lot of you guys and women in the profession seemingly want to find a way to marry, sports and something else and stay in sports in some way. And I feel like a lot of you guys kind of find that way to stay in sports through sports medicine, athletic training, which is really cool and opens up a ton of opportunities. When you were at Duquesne studying athletic training, were there anything specifically that was most impactful in your time there to kind of push you in this direction of getting into the profession? Was it, anatomy or the rehab process or working different sports? What kind of stood out to you most during your studies at Duquesne?
Yeah, I think it was the anatomy. The medical side of things was kind of my big interest. And to be honest, I didn't even know I had the passion for athletic training until I started taking the classes in, you get a taste your sophomore year, but mostly your junior, senior year, you'd start diving into into the athletic training curriculum. And I honestly, wasn't a very good student my first couple of years of college. And then kind of the passion was drawn out of me in those athletic training classes. And, I think, there are people that could attest to this. I was probably two different students in college. The first 2 years and the second 2 years is when I actually started to apply myself, and that passion really started to come out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's safe to say about many college students, myself included, that the first couple of years you have no idea what you want to do, and then you kind of really invest some time that junior and senior year when you kind of have an idea of what you want to do as a professional. So interesting to hear you say the same there. Thinking back on your time, junior and senior year as an athletic training major, really kind of working towards something. Was there anything you learned or any experiences that you think prepared you for what you were going to get into in professional baseball?
Yeah, I think just the time commitment. really was something that was an adjustment for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having the classes and then rolling right from classes to your clinical, and there were no set deadlines on how long you could be there or how much you should be there. So it was kind of, as long as your preceptor was there, you were there. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, class until 1, clinical until 6 or 7, and then you got to find some time to, you know, get all your homework done and all your assignments done. So I think the time commitment that we were exposed to in undergrad was something that definitely prepared me for professional baseball.
Yeah, and a lot of your colleagues across the league, you know, people in the medical coordinator position explain how busy it is 24/7, but that they learned a lot of those skills to balance that in college because it's not necessarily a normal college experience if you're an athletic trainer. Do you kind of agree that you kind of mentioned right there that it's more balancing than the normal college student? Did you at any point feel like you were missing out on anything in college when you were studying athletic training just because you were so busy covering sports, learning the anatomy, getting your assignments done? Did you kind of feel like that was a unique college experience?
Definitely. Yeah. Luckily I had some of my closest friends in college were also athletic training majors. So we kind of, you know, went through that process together, but you know, there were some people that we were also friends with that were, you know,
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the fruits of college a little bit more differently than we did. But I think, you know, we found our time to, you know, mix into having some fun and, you know, just taking on the different college path with a lot of enthusiasm.
And when you look back on your time at school, to kind of put a bow on the educational talk here, you know, a lot of our listeners are people who were in your position when you were coming up in school, students looking to get their degrees, get their masters in athletic training, and obviously be in a position like you are now. So looking back and reflecting on those days in school, do you have any best pieces of advice for someone getting started in college as an athletic training major that you could provide for them?
Yeah, just keep an open mind and never stop digging. I think there's some good stuff that you learn in class, but I think when you graduate and you get out into the real world, you soon find out that that's not the only stuff that there is to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So continue to start that process early, even when you're in college, and ask questions and reach out to other people who are doing different things to, you know, just spark a little bit of curiosity in yourself and really figure out, you know, what you like and how you want to learn it and some of the things that you want to implement for yourself as a professional. So I think
Mm-hmm.
just being open is probably the one thing that I learned through my years in school, and, you know, trying to get as many different experiences as you can.
And those experiences you mentioned, you know, a lot of people work different sports, you know, who end up in baseball. So you're with the Diamondbacks now. There's a good chance that people coming up are going to work, you know, gymnastics, track and field, football, soccer, even baseball, many sports in college. Did you work different sports during your coverage in college? And did you learn, you know, kind of what you liked and what you disliked and kind of push you towards baseball in some way?
Yeah, for sure. He did the whole high school rotation, and
Mm-hmm.
I worked with the football team at Duquesne. I had an experience in college, an internship with baseball, so that kind of opened my eyes to the baseball world, which I'm sure we'll get to later. But and then my graduate degree, which I did at the University of Pittsburgh, I actually took the assistantship because it was with the baseball team, and at the time was the only GA spot in ACC baseball, which I'm still not sure why they did that looking back on it, but it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and especially wanting to get into baseball. But after my first year of working with the baseball team at Pitt, they hired a full-time athletic trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and I got moved to women's tennis, and that was my first big move in the sport where I thought I was going to be and where I wanted to be, to a sport where it is not really the same in many ways, but it
Sure.
is also the same in a lot of ways. And that was, it ended up being an incredible experience to work with the women's tennis team and get experience in a sport that, you know, to this point in my career, I've not worked with since. So learned
Mm-hmm.
a ton. And I think going back to the open mind and just going into experiences, trying to learn and trying to get better, I think is something that I learned in that experience of being moved from baseball to tennis.
Yeah, it just goes to show, just like getting through the minor leagues and earning the position you're in now, there's maybe not always a straight line. It's going to be ups and downs, and learning and being open is essentially a major key that I've heard from many of your colleagues across the league. Looking back on your career thus far, and this is something I'm super excited to talk to you about. We'll get into some role models and some people you work with at the D-backs who are absolutely iconic in the field. But when you were first coming up, maybe college or the later years studying, were there any role models who specifically kind of showed you how athletic training and that profession actually works? Anyone that stands out?
Yeah, I had some pretty great people at Duquesne as mentors. Paula Tarosi and Peg Hoagland and Keith Gorse were three of my professors that had been in the business for a long time and were able to steer us in a place to get us to where we wanted to go. So, they had a ton of experience. I looked up to those guys a ton. And then obviously, my internship with the Pirates in 2014, I met Todd Tomzik, and he's a Duquesne alumni. So he would come and speak from time to time, at Duquesne. And he was somebody that I really looked up to, Pittsburgh guy working for his hometown team. And, getting a chance to work with him was something that I'll never forget. And obviously he was a big reason why I'm in the game now and learned so much about athletic training in undergrad.
Yeah. I think anyone that knows Todd, I've known him for about 15 years now. Just one of the best guys to sit around and talk to. So helpful, friendly, and really, I would say, makes you feel like he's invested in you, even if maybe he's not. He really makes you feel like he's doing everything he can to help you. And I think that's one of the best qualities, and Todd really exhibits that. Shifting gears a bit, to get more to your career path after college. There's so many different paths through the minor leagues, through internships, through positions like you're in now. Give us kind of a rundown of the path you took from when you graduated college, through the minor leagues, getting your start in baseball and getting to the position you're in now.
Yeah. So the first experience I had with professional baseball was an internship with the Pirates in 2014. Again, Todd Tomzik's an alumni of Duquesne, so would maybe favor the program a bit with our athletic training students. But I was able to submit a resume, interview with them, and got the opportunity to work with those guys that year and worked with him and Jeremiah Randall, who's now with the Astros, and Ben Potenziano, who's also a huge mentor of mine as well. And that kind of opened my eyes to the world of professional baseball and showed me that it was something that I would want to do with my life and my career. So graduated Duquesne. I went to get my master's at Pitt. So probably the fall of 2016, I started looking on the PBAT's website for some jobs, some opportunities, just trying to get my foot in the door. And this is another interesting story among many for my path, but I applied for a job with the Texas Rangers on PBATs, and I had messaged Jeremiah Randall, and I said, "Hey, I'm putting my resume in for this job. Would you be a reference for me?" And he was in Houston at the time, and he's like, "Yeah, no problem. We're actually playing him tonight, so I'll go and I'll talk to him." And I'm pretty sure that was Jamie Reed. He never told me who it was, but he called me the next day and he goes, "Hey, I talked to their head guy. He said he's looking forward to seeing your resume, and he also said that the Diamondbacks are hiring for an athletic training position. Do you want me to give him your resume?" And I just said, yeah. I didn't know anything about the Diamondbacks. I didn't know anything about Ken Crenshaw or Ryan DePampa or any of those guys. And on a whim, started getting phone calls from those guys and interviewed. And next thing I know, I'm getting a call from Ken, offered me the job. And it's one of those days that you'd never forget and kind of know where you were when you got the call, and accepted maybe a few days later. And I graduated from Pitt with my master's in May 1st of 2017. And then I think May 3rd, I caught a flight out to Arizona and started working with the extended.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story, and just goes to show the power of persistence and those connections. And really, if you want it, finding the right people to talk to. And the world of athletic training and baseball is just so connected. So it's awesome to hear kind of how that unfolded for you. Looking back at your stops in the minor leagues and leading to where you are today, was there a point in your career that you felt first like overwhelmed, didn't know what was going on, how you're going to get it done? And then also a point in your career where maybe you felt like you had things figured out and you were kind of coming into your own?
Yeah, definitely. My first season, I was supposed to be with the ACL team or AZL team in Arizona. So I was planning on, being in Scottsdale for the summer and working closely with the people at Salt River to, help me along. And probably 2 weeks before the old short season team started that we're going to break, Kyle Torgerson, he was the coordinator at the time, called me in his office and he was like, we actually need to make a switch with the trainers. And we were wondering if you could go to Missoula, Montana instead of being the AZL this year. And, 2 weeks before we left, I just said yes. Like, I'm not going to say no. And as soon as I said yes, I had this pit in my stomach and I just was thinking to myself, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to handle this. I don't know what I disagreed to. I think I just got in over my head a bit. And, and I got up there and asked a ton of questions and leaned on some people that really helped me through that process. But that was definitely a moment in time where I was like, I don't know much about this profession to begin with, and I'm going to be by myself. I was a little bit nervous going up there, but year after year, you kind of gain confidence and I think, working the COVID year and working the alt site with some of the older players, the guys who were kind of up and down from the big league team, I think that really gave me the confidence to say I'm starting to figure this thing out. I have a long way to go, and I still do to this point. But that 2020 season, I think, was a big stepping stone in my career to mentally give me the positivity and the confidence to kind of move forward and continue to get better in this role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed just from our conversation so far is some of the names you've spoken about: Ben Potenziano, Todd Tomzik, Kyle Torgerson, just really, really great professionals at what they do. Great people to learn from. I feel like that's a common theme with any athletic trainer in your position who gets to such a valuable role like you have now at the D-backs is great mentors, great people to learn from. But specifically two people who you're on staff with now, who I think are two of the best. I'm biased, got to know these guys a while: Ken Crenshaw and Ryan DePanfilo. Just two of the most respected athletic trainers in baseball. Talk about the experience of getting to know these guys and getting to work under some of the people who kind of seemingly have a massive athletic training tree. And Ken Crenshaw, anyone who works under Ken seemingly goes on to, grab a head athletic trainer job somewhere in their league, like PJ Mainville and Kyle Torgerson and Ryan. So what's it like being around those guys every day?
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm fortunate of my circumstances being around those guys, and the baseball experience, the wealth of knowledge, the care that they have for everybody on our team is something that I was looking for with the job, and maybe wasn't as high on my priority list as it should have been. But whatever Ken and Ryan have going here is something, in my eyes, something special. And like you, pretty biased. Obviously, there are two people that I work pretty closely with and have been fortunate to develop a pretty strong relationship with. And they've taught me innumerable things in my career and have helped me. I definitely wouldn't be in the position I'm in now without the help of those two and the guidance.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking of guidance, you're going to be, leading as the minor league medical coordinator this year, working with all the affiliates, reporting up and down to Ken and Ryan. When you think about the role and this being your first year in it, is there something that excites you most about the opportunity for 2024? Yeah,
the ability to serve and help the minor league athletic trainers that I'm serving. I just think that, I've been fortunate to have great people surrounding me to help me be in this position, and they put me in the best position and gave me the knowledge I needed to be successful in this position. So what I'm looking forward to the most is paying that all back and and hopefully I can continue to do that. But I just want to help. I want to put the people that I'm helping and serving this year in the position that the people before me helped me with. And hopefully everyone that sits in our minor league training room office is a coordinator somewhere and achieves their goals. And those are I'm excited to help facilitate some of that stuff with our younger staff.
And when you speak of the younger staff, I know Kelly Boyce was in your role now. She has moved up to the big league staff with the Tigers. Was she kind of a mentor for you? Is that kind of how you view the coordinator position? Obviously, there's so much to do, so much on the medical side, but in terms of the personal and mentorship situation, as the minor league coordinator, kind of someone who just keeps all the athletic trainers at the affiliates in line and really helps them and shows them the ropes in terms of how to get the job done every day?
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, shout out to Kelly for getting married a couple of weeks ago too. We were down in Mexico celebrating with her. That was a ton of fun. And Kelly was a huge mentor of mine and a friend as well. So I think, it's what she was able to do for me. I hope to be able to do for some others and so on and so forth down the line. And, the mentorship from her was unbelievable and definitely wouldn't be as prepared moving into this role this season as I would have without her. So I can't say enough good things about Kelly.
And you mentioned you're gearing up for, the season coming up. We're just about at that time when people will be in the building for spring training, just a few weeks away. I'm sure you have guys in the building already. But before that, you had an off season. I know it's short and you guys are crazy busy. Talk to the listeners a bit about what the off season looks like, when you're getting ready for a new role, preparing for spring training. Do you get to enjoy some time away? Do you get to kind of get out of town with family or anything like that? Or are you kind of still, crazy busy throughout the off season?
Yeah, I think with the new minor league rules, it has built in a bit of downtime, the dead period that you're not really allowed to talk to the players anymore. So that's kind of a built-in downtime that I was able to do some traveling. I went back to Pittsburgh for a little. My girlfriend's family's from Seattle, spent Christmas there, and down to Mexico for Kelly's wedding. So there was a bit of rest and relaxation for some of the off season. And then all the while you're kind of in communication with Ken and Ryan and even with Kelly to an extent, trying to hand over some of the responsibilities and got a new farm director this year. So that's been good, a good transition too. So there's some communication things with that and some hiring processes that we were working through in the off season. So definitely not coming into the office every day, but we're still working for sure.
And now you're about to get underway. Spring training, like I mentioned. What do you guys do in Arizona to get prepared for that? I know before players come in, you're getting things set up, getting materials in, supplies. But what do you do as a staff, from Ken and Ryan down to you and the affiliate athletic trainers? What's preparation like for Arizona this time of year?
Yeah, we're all getting together. We're trying to figure out the best way to handle spring training. We're almost divvying up duties a bit too, with some different responsibilities from physicals to continuing education stuff to the impact testing and emergency action plan stuff. There's all kinds of things swirling around during spring training. So I think this time of year we like to get ahead of it and start to prepare some people to take on some bigger roles and give them a little bit of extra responsibility. And all the while, I think some of the leaders of the group, the Kens, the Ryans, me, Max Esposito, we're all kind of there for backup to help facilitate some of that stuff and to make sure all the work gets done, but also trying to expose some of our younger staff to some new experiences. But right now we got a minor league camp going. We got about 70 guys, and there's some big league guys working out here, which is nice. Get some of the guys back into the building and working out, and just a lot of especially with the year we had last year, there's just a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation for spring training to kind of kick off.
Yeah, I was going to say that exact thing. Are the expectations this year at spring training feeling a little different based on the year and how it ended last year for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think, unfortunately, I was here at a time where we lost 110 games, and also last year when we made it to the World Series. So it's been interesting to see from both perspectives. But yeah, the expectations have changed in this organization. I think we want to get back to where we were, and we're preparing to get back to the World Series and give ourselves a chance to hopefully win it all.
Yeah. And you mentioned previously, how you guys work together, from Ken and Ryan, Max and yourself, kind of leading the charge and putting people in positions where they can learn and develop at spring training. So as I mentioned, a lot of our listeners are, looking for an internship, or they're students. Share with them a little bit about what they could expect at their first spring training. If they were a rookie ball athletic trainer, or if they were at AA or single A. What's spring training like for them? How do you guys incorporate them and kind of get people's feet wet to kind of help their development and growth?
Yeah, I mean, it's craziness. I remember my spring training, and it's a lot going on. There's a lot of people in the building. There's a lot of moving parts, and we try to have morning meetings every day where we kind of set the day, and people that are in rehab and the people that are a part of camp but are coming in for treatments, and how we're going to manage those guys, and how we're going to work them into the spring training day, who's available for games. And I think going through that stuff and as a pre-day meeting can really set the stage for a young person to understand the process of the day and where everybody needs to be. We go over field coverages and things of that nature, who's covering games. And I think just that pre-preparation meeting can really put the young people at ease with, okay, where do I need to be? And we sometimes say, follow this person for today and see what they do. And so they start to get their feet wet, and then ultimately start to take the training wheels off and let them, go out there and make the mistakes. And we're here to support and hopefully help them learn a bit from those mistakes and get them ready for the year.
Yeah. It's gotta be such a whirlwind stepping into that facility the first time as an athletic trainer. I couldn't imagine, seeing the faces like Ken Kentra, Ryan DePamphilo, Max, and you, and figuring out how you're supposed to operate and work in that world. It must be crazy at first. When you kind of get those responsibilities at spring training as a younger athletic trainer, do you approach that knowing that you're able to make mistakes? Because I know a lot of your colleagues across the league just have told me over the years how important it is to learn at those low risk, younger stages of their career, and also be empowered to make mistakes and learn from that. So how do you guys go about handling that and communicating with those younger athletic trainers for that development phase?
Yeah, I think giving them the autonomy to, if it's a task, make sure they know that they have the autonomy to run it how they want, but also that we're here for backup. If they have questions or they're not sure about a process, if that's the right way to go about it, or for just tips or tricks for that particular event, we're happy to help. And then, I think we meet with everyone too, just to let them know, like, we're not expecting you to be perfect here. And we want you to go out there, and we want you to make those mistakes and, make aggressive mistakes where you're working on guys and you mess up, or your communication is off with somebody. Those are some of the things that we hope to reflect on and help them learn from, but we certainly give them the autonomy to handle things on their own so that they can experience it. And then all the while we're here to reflect and follow up with them on those to hopefully make improvements for the next time or correct the mistakes.
Mm-hmm. And another interesting thing I wanted to chat with you about is, you're in Arizona all year. A lot of your colleagues are as well, but the one benefit to you is that you are just down the road from, the city that your big league club plays in. Do you see that as a huge added benefit, that you are in close proximity to Ken and Ryan and Max and the rest of the guys who are with the big league club all year?
Yeah, massive advantage. I think and for our younger staff too, the ACL staff and some of our rehab staff that's here, we encourage them to go down to Chase, for pregame stuff. I mean, you can't learn enough from those guys, watching them interact with the big league players, the big league staff, how they communicate, how they work on a day-to-day basis, how they're preparing for a game, how they are during the game. They're the best at what they do. And We're fortunate enough to be in the same city that we're 20 minutes away from Chase. We just drive down there prior to a game, and they're super receptive to letting us hang out in the training room and almost as a shadowing experience to see how they work. And, we get those experiences in spring training too. We cycle our staff through the major league clubhouse during spring training for a couple of days. And again, just seeing how those guys work, like they're the best at what they do and some of the smartest people I've ever come across. So just being able to be in the same room and hear the conversations and watch the treatments and see their preparation and communication is, it's a massive advantage.
Yeah, and then the communication aspect I've found from interviewing people in your position, medical coordinator roles across the league, is that it's absolutely key. You're going to be communicating to all the affiliates, to the rookie ball athletic trainer, all the way up to Ken, all the way up to the front office. Share with us how you feel about the importance of communication as a characteristic for a successful athletic trainer in pro baseball.
It's maybe at the top of the list. I think if your goal is to get to the big leagues and to be a head athletic trainer, I think the communication is, if it's not at the top, it's probably a close second. And that's something that Ken and Ryan are just remarkably good at helping people see and helping people learn to communicate well. And I think everybody in the position that I'm in, who I've been fortunate enough to work for. I mean, there's some titans of baseball athletic training, professional baseball athletic training, who I've had as coordinators, Kyle Torgerson and Ryan DePampolo and Max Esposito and Kelly Boyce. I mean, they're all big league level athletic trainers, and two of them are heads and two of them are assistants. And that's one thing that they were all very, very good at by the time they left my position, is their communication. And that doesn't just start when you get to be the coordinator. It starts the minute you are hired on in our organization, and it's at the top of the priority list to develop. The same with soft tissue skills, the same with evaluation skills. All of those things are lumped together in a group of characteristics that are gonna put you in a position to hopefully get you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of getting where you want to go, I know a lot of individuals, probably all of them, aspire to be a big league athletic trainer. And you mentioned, what I was just going to talk about was the fact that so many of these people who've moved on and from your organization and others started in the medical coordinator role, or filled that position. Not started. You obviously worked your way up to it. But held the position as medical coordinator for quite a while. I know you're just getting started in this role, but is it super exciting to you to see and look at where the people who were previously held your position are now?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a human thing, right? Like, you see everybody that you've worked for and have been in this position and where they're at now. And, hopefully I can see myself getting to the point where they're at as well. And but I'm not going to just rest on that laurel, right? Like, I'm not just going to, because Kelly got a job with the Tigers, like I'm a shoo-in to get a big league job, right? No, I got a lot of stuff myself I need to work on from a strengths and weaknesses perspective, and I'm happy to be in the position I'm in now, and I'm gonna use every bit of the time I have in this position to continue to prepare myself for hopefully an opportunity down the road. But more than anything, it's a bit scary for me to have to live up to the expectations of the people who came before me. They're all in super successful positions right now, and that's just something that I'm going to work every day to live up to, and to again help serve the people that are on my team.
Mm-hmm. And that's interesting to hear you talk about staying, being happy with where you're at currently. I've talked to a lot of athletic trainers at all levels, and one of the main themes is being present and enjoying the moment where you're at. When everybody is aspiring to kind of move up or move on. With that in mind, how do you kind of go about staying mentally focused, sharp, present, and patient at your current role? Even looking back on your internship time or working with an affiliate, when you're ultimately aspiring to move up, what do you do to kind of keep that frame of mind where you're in the moment where you're currently at?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was something that I struggled with when I first got into the game. I think like a lot of people, you get into the game and you're like, wow, I just want to get to the big leagues as fast as possible. You know, I just want to get there. I want to get in. I want to get through the minor leagues. I want to get there as fast as possible. And after my first year or two, I kind of looked back and I was like, you know, I'm like forgetting and missing a lot of the memories of the minor leagues. You know, I'm missing the good days. I'm missing the bad days because I'm just focused on this goal that I have. You know, I don't know when it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I started to reflect on that, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna. The only thing that I can do is take the day for the day, and I'm gonna try and get better each day, and I'm just gonna, you know, be happy with where I'm at with my teammates and the coaches and the players, and you know, you don't really remember the games of the minor leagues, but you remember the days, you remember the good times, you remember the bad times, and I started to shift my focus to that, and just taking it as cliche as it is, taking it a day at a time, and like just seizing the opportunity each day that you can, and trying to learn something. And you know, the people who came before me who are in big league positions, they were in the position for as long as they were and for as many years as they were, and that's why they're ready for that position. So I know that I can't skip this year and be ready. Like I gotta milk every ounce of this year to learn as much as I can, and the next year and the year after that to prepare myself to be the best big league athletic trainer I can. So yeah, just shifting the focus and giving yourself the opportunity to be present in the moment and to enjoy the days, and the good days and the bad days. They're not all going to be good. So being able to find some solace in enjoying the bad days too will make your time be exponentially more important, and you'll have a lot more fun doing it. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to have. And I think so many people who want to get into baseball athletic training just, you know, want to be in the big leagues instantly. There's so much to learn. Some people have spent, you know, 40 years in the minor leagues, and, you know, you got to find a way to enjoy that time. You can't just be searching for what's next and forgetting what's in front of you. And I think that kind of shows. I think it shows when people are present. And, you know, Ken and Ryan and Max are prime examples of that. You spend any time with those guys, they're right there present with you, and it really makes you feel good, and you can learn from those guys. So I think that's an awesome mindset to have. Well, Mike, this has been great. You've shared so much quality information that I think students and young professionals can take forward from today. To wrap up today's episode, we'll finish with a quick Q&A segment called Extra Bases. So I'm going to ask 4 quick questions, and you'll get to share some insight into some of your favorite things about athletic training and baseball. We'll start at first base. You've made a handful of stops along the way to your current role with the D-backs in Arizona. Do you have a favorite athletic training room that you've worked in along the way?
Yeah, I think the ballpark in Las Vegas, the Oakland A's AAA affiliate, is top tier. There's not a lot of better facilities in minor league baseball than that one. You almost feel like you're in the big leagues when you're in that training room.
Yeah, always nice to get a taste of what could be next and keep that motivation going that way. Moving on to second base, you know, as a little kid, I think you would probably have killed to sit in the dugout and watch a baseball game, you know, right next to the players. Now, you know, you've seemingly gotten to do that, and you will continue to do that, you know, as you progress in your career. Do you have a favorite stadium that you've sat in the dugout to watch a game from?
Yeah, there's the old Pioneer League is no longer a affiliated league, but there's a couple teams in Utah, Orem and Ogden, that both of their dugouts face the mountains in Utah, and they're pretty amazing views. You almost feel like you're not in a real place when you're watching a game from those dugouts. And that was in the old Pioneer League, but they're good stadiums to watch a game from.
Yeah, I think the Ogden Raptors I remember they have a really awesome mountain view. So definitely can agree with you there. You know, you guys travel a ton for your job. You maybe not so much this coming year, but on the road as an athletic trainer at an affiliate, you're always on the go. Do you have a favorite city that you have visited during your time as an athletic trainer in pro ball?
Yeah, I mean, I could say the easy one and say Vegas again. That's obvious. That's an obviously nice place to go. I think the PCL is a really great league, and I enjoyed going to El Paso and Tacoma. There's a couple of sneaky good restaurants and bars in Tacoma that were good. So the PCL overall is a pretty good league, but I'd say those cities are at probably the top of the list.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the minor league cities can be kind of underrated. I think we've heard that from a lot of you and your colleagues across the league, is that there's some underrated cities with good food and, good bar scenes and stuff to do after the game. So never a dull moment on the road there. Finishing up today, moving to home plate. You've been in pro ball for a while now. You are gearing up for a really huge year of your career with the D-backs. At some point over the past couple of years, did you have a welcome to pro baseball moment with the D-backs?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always go through the minor league grinder days with the broken down buses and the food that didn't get delivered and all those. But I do have a pretty cool story from my internship in Pittsburgh. I was just an intern and probably was getting a bit bullied at the time, but it was funny. Garrett Cole actually, he dared me to dump a scoop of ice in the middle of the weight room. He said, "I want you to take a scoop of ice, dump it in the middle of the weight room, don't say anything, and walk out. Look the strength coach in the eye and do that." And so I pondered it again. The intern, I was like, "Oh, they're not going to tell me to come back." And I had all these stories go through my head, and I said, "You know what? I'm just going to do it." So I did it. Looked the strength coach right in the eye, dumped the ice on the floor, and walked right out, and got a good laugh from some of the boys in the clubhouse. But it was one of those moments where I was like, I can't believe that this is actually happening. Like, no one's going to believe me when I tell them this story. So that was probably my welcome to baseball moment.
Yeah, you gotta, I know hazing is on the way out and things that people used to do are not as socially as acceptable, but definitely good to kind of get a little bit hazed and you earn your stripes by doing things like that. So that's a really, really funny story from earlier on in your career. Well, Mike, thanks so much for joining the show. Really, really appreciate your time, your dedication to PBATS and what you do for athletic training. And I wish you and all the guys and women on the staff in Arizona best of luck this upcoming season.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciated the time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Inside Athletic Training. We hope you've gained valuable insights, inspiration, and knowledge to fuel your athletic training journey. If you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite platform. And also, stay connected with us on pbats.com for more news about athletic training and sports medicine.